Certainly it's going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now we... The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy game. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
And he'll be taken down, but not before they work it across midfield. So as we mentioned at the top, well, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson.
This is caught inside the 15. Touchdown! Jerry Rice, 49 yards. And the NFC has taken the early lead. Well, if they didn't get the wake-up call before the game, they got it right now. 2 plays already in the end zone.
I think of it in boxing terms because whether it's a big shot with your first one or a probing one, a little bit of a jab, the second one was the payoff. That was the big one that landed. 1-2, end zone.
They'll try and throw for it. Rolling to his left. And he's going to be taken down. It's a sack, and they fail on the try for 2. So pretty interesting. They get the opening drive touchdown. They wanted a little more. They were looking for 8, maybe something they thought about before the game started, I would imagine.
I think you're right about that. That's discussed in your staff meeting. A decision is made. I think the head coach has to blueprint it and say, yes, let's go ahead and do that. In this case, though, let's give some credit to the guys on defense. They gave up the touchdown, but found a way to regroup and keep them out of the end zone for the 2-point play.
Boy, so they don't get the conversion, but they're going to go right into the onside kick formation. And this is going to be secured by the AFC. So an onside kick fail in the first quarter. Not sure I completely see the logic there.
It's not apparent, is it? You almost have to go deeper, I think, and maybe if we try and work along with them and speculate a little bit here, they must feel like they need to steal possessions in this game. And maybe they don't match up possession for possession with the opposite team. They've got to steal it and try and gain an advantage. And they tried. They just didn't get it done.
And they will stop him after a fairly minimal pickup. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles. You and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time.
And now a fumble. Brady loses the football. Points 1, 2, and 3 in their defensive game plan was to get to the quarterback and knock the ball free. They did it there. Luckily, offense hangs on to it.
Yeah, that's got to serve as a wake-up call, though, because they can't afford to let the ball go over to the defense and miss opportunities. And I'm not saying it happened here, but you know what a good rule of thumb is when a play like that occurs? You know who usually recovers it? The guy who missed his block and let his quarterback get hit. That is how you flip field position. That's an absolute bomb of a punt. Downs it inside the 5-yard line. Absolutely ideal.
From that position, you're hoping to get it down inside the 15, inside the 5. Superb. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And they will start this drive with just terrible field position, backed up inside their own 5.
But we have some.
And he is not going to get away. The rush was too strong, and this is going to wind up a safety. Well, I think you can go ahead and give your punter an assist on that one. Pinned him deep, and the defense comes through with 2 points.
You're exactly right, partner. This was all set up by a great punt, and if the ball goes in the end zone, this never happens. So great call. Give the punt team and the punter some love.
And remember, following the safety, you give the football up as well, and they free kick it from the 20 now.
Free kick out of bounds.
So they accept the penalty, of course, and push the offense backwards a bit. Good starting field position for them here as they come up 1st and 10, right at the 50-yard line. A run right side, it's Bettis. He'll be taken down at the 48 for a pickup of 2 yards. Well, Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as
trying for Brown, and it's intercepted. There he goes, right side. And he's going to bring this one back for an NFC touchdown. They were in the dime. They had 6 defensive backs there, so go ahead and throw it. He threw it, and it hurt him.
It's almost thrown into a blanket of coverage, isn't it? You talk about the best defenders you have are the defensive backs. 6 of them on the field. You're almost asking for trouble, and that's exactly what they ran into. Ended up throwing a pick 6.
Yeah, 6 defenders and 6 points. Morton Anderson now for the extra point. Oh, and now they're going to fake it to the end zone, but it's incomplete.
Let me go ahead and show my age a little bit. I liked it when they would fake it from the 3-yard line, right? When you'd line up, go ahead and, oh, there's a fake, and he's going to get 2. That's great. But from the 15, the risk-reward, it's just not there.
It's so risky to get 15 yards on a fake. Well, you see the result right there.
Yeah, I know these young whippersnappers are trying to do different things in this game, but let's go back to old reliable. Kick the ball through the post.
Get off my lawn.
That's darn right.
And that's why you have your hands team out there on the field. Those are the best guys ready to make that play.
And let's face it was executed well. It wasn't a bad kick. It wasn't anything like that. Just that the normal outcome actually came to play. Analytics will tell you it's a very low possibility of getting the ball for the team kicking it in an onside kick situation.
You're all about the numbers, aren't you? Oh, he can't get away, and Brady will go down. Reggie White on the sack there, showing the explosiveness that led him to the Hall of Fame. Not the start to this one that any quarterback would want or envision. Remember, he had the pick 6, and here he ends up on his backside.
And you have to wonder to yourself, okay, after throwing the pick 6, did he get too careful with the football and not deliver downfield and take that sack? They've got to make sure that he's really into this game.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stable, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about this great line he had? Center Jim.
The AFC with the football here to begin the second quarter. On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. First kick, 47. This one looks good as well. And a bit of a mistake there. This is well into the end zone for a touchback. The NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss, a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out near the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. It might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And, partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball.
And this is caught. For the moment, it's a touchdown, but multiple flags down, so let's sort this out.
Illegal forward pass.
Brutal, so take away the long touchdown.
It's a cruel game sometimes, partner.
They're going on 4th down. It's Favre. On the run, he'll let this go deep right side. And that is caught at the 10-yard line. Touchdown. Calvin Johnson, 59 yards. And his guy's now an extra point away from taking a 3-score lead. That certainly went against the traditional ways of playing football, but who cares? Look at the result. Big touchdown.
They went for it on their own side of the 50. So there's conservative, there's aggressive, and there's really aggressive, which is what we just saw there. Tip of the cap to them.
The NFC going to line up and go for 2 here. They'll look to throw.
I don't know about you, but I can't wait for a few years of 2-point tries and see what the data tells us, because a lot of teams want to throw the ball in this situation, this time unsuccessfully. I just wonder if maybe running the ball might be the way to go.
With it moved up from the 3 to the 2, you would think maybe a few more attempts at running.
I think stats over time may bear out that running the ball will at least be the equal of throwing it in that situation.
Well, not one you see often there as he fails to keep it between the sidelines, and that is a penalty every time, and going to give this offense better field position.
And it's every kickoff guy's nightmare, isn't it? Because you don't see yourself doing this, and most of the time you don't. It's absolutely a mishit, and now your team pays the price. Bad field position for your defense.
The run only got a yard. Here's 2nd and 9. Here's Brady to throw. And his throw's going to be incomplete. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was. Down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders get out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him. Strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Biletnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it. The grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders have their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
Oh, he'll try and throw it deep to the other side of the field. So, Charles, after that Super Bowl title in the 76 season, the Raiders again advanced to the AFC Championship game the following year, but they fell to the Denver Broncos on New Year's Day by a field goal. And that he's got a man complete. 20. Touchdown. Randy Moss, 75 yards. As his guys are able to push that lead out a bit further. Well, you know he can be explosive, and he's ultra-explosive there on the fly route.
And you know how many times we've talked to coaches and we've had quoted back to us, well, you know something? When you execute really well, it doesn't matter if they know it's coming or not. Well, sometimes athleticism beats you as well. He just took off and went. That's almost like one of your Turkey Bowl games, isn't it? Just go long, man. I'll hit you. And it worked really well for them.
The NFC going to line up and go for two here. To throw is Favre. So unable to throw it in for two from the two. Let me ask you, as a former DB, what changes there around the goal line on a two-point conversion as far as how you're defending it?
You just make sure you never back up and you never retreat. You establish yourself really on the line of scrimmage, put your heels on the goal line at worst, and if they're going to throw the ball, make them throw it over your head because they're going to run out of space because of the back of the end zone. Never let a guy catch one in front of you.
The offense for the AFC set to go now. Charles, a very uninspired effort the last time we saw them out there. It was a quick 3-and-out, then they punted the football.
Yeah, and you never want to get stopped so soundly during a series, but what would be even worse now is letting it happen again right here. They've got to get going.
Brady's incompletion on first down leads to a 2nd and 10. They'll set up a throw. And his throw's going to be incomplete.
This defense has passed its first two tests by forcing back-to-back incompletions. They know there's probably another throw coming out third down. Let's see if they decide to force the issue by sending people on a blitz.
That one caught along the sideline. Did he stay in? Yes, he did. But hang on here. A penalty marker is on the field. Well, your QB's been sacked 4 times in the game already. And they're the holding call.
And you know darn well the offensive line coach is frustrated and upset that he's been hit that many times already. He doesn't really care that they hold now. Just don't let him get hit anymore.
Just a 2-yard pickup, and that should necessitate a call for the punt team here on 4th down. Here's Ray Guy now on to punt it away. He steps into this one, and this is a rocket. And problems spreading to the punt team now. This one goes all the way into the end zone on the fly, so that'll come back to the 20. First and 10, it's Favre. Oh, he'll look downfield for Kittle. It got his man complete. And he'll be taken down, but not before they work it across midfield. It's a gain of 34.
Big plays are starting to become the trend here in this first half, and everything that they've tried has worked. And there's another example right there.
Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley. Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducting coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. The second half forthcoming from Oakland. Brady now on first down. Well, the NFC pressure a little too much as they get home for the sack. The Fridge, William Perry, gets him for a loss of 8. What great push up front. It has been a rough afternoon for him trying to get rid of the football. See, that's now 5 sacks.
How'd you like to be the offensive coordinator, the offensive line coach trying to come up with an answer for this pass rush? What blocking assignments do you change? Can guys play a little bit better? And we're seeing the end result on the scoreboard. Long day in the pocket for their quarterback.
This offense in desperate need of a conversion as they come up on third down. Brady now to throw. And that'll be incomplete as it's knocked away. But a penalty flag is down. So who's this going to be on? Well, we talk a lot about referees trying to protect quarterbacks, and no question they're going to protect number 12.
And really, truly, around the league, the intent is to protect all quarterbacks. It's just common sense. Those are the guys everyone comes to see play each and every week. And that call was pretty easy.
Following the pickup of 4, here's 2nd and 6. They keep it on the ground. Allen again. About 3 yards there to the 27. Coming up here looking for 3 yards to pick up the first. They'll try and pound it with a big back Bettis. And he's going to be a yard short. A 2-yard pickup leads to 4th and 1.
And the big fella stuffed that one up in a big way. I think doubling him has to be a priority because you can't move up to the next level if you don't take care of him first.
And Vinatieri's kick is good. And the deficit falls under 20 now. It's a 19-point game. So the big return had him fired up, but in the end, the offense stalls out. They only muster 3.
Yeah, the excitement was there after the return, but they didn't move the ball at all after that. They didn't even get a first down.
Fielded just outside the goal line. And they'll be backed up to start this drive as he's taken down right around the 15. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. But now you've got the clock winding down here in the third quarter. Your 3 scores to the... He's got a man complete. And they're going to get this down to about the 37.
In our pregame meeting, all they talked about was keeping him hemmed in and wanting him to make his throws from the pocket because they knew he was pretty dangerous if he got outside, and he just showed it right there. Pretty good arm, too.
So how about that for a chain mover? They're all the way down inside the 40 now for 1st and 10. A throw there, but that's going to wind up incomplete. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
Now on 4th down, they throw the deep ball, but it winds up to be incomplete. The NFC's decision to go for it does not pan out, and as a result, possession switches hands. The AFC offense set to take their next drive.
And really, Charles, not much of a surprise that they're losing. They just haven't been able to get much of anything going in the pass game. And as you well know, in today's NFL, if the passing game isn't working, usually not much else is working either.
You're exactly right about that, partner. And I know that right now the easy answer would be, hey, let's run the football. But that might not be everything you need. So despite the fact that they struggled throwing it, they've got to find some.
Back now here on EA Sports. It's the NFC with the lead and the football as well as we start quarter number 4. Now on 3rd and long, they'll look to throw. Under pressure, they got him again. Jack Youngblood able to get in there for his 2nd sack of the afternoon.
But one thing I do know, these guys on defense, they don't want this game to end. They're winning by multiple touchdowns. They've shut down the opposing quarterback in a big way, and they're still picking up sacks as we approach the end of this one.
And he gets this away, and look at this. This is a good one. And Sanders now to return. And he'll take this across the 25 before going out of bounds. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. On 1st down, Favre. And oh, that nearly their first pick of the game, but it falls down to the ground incomplete. On 2nd down, Favre. Quick throw, knocked away, and incomplete. The numbers for the NFC on 3rd down. They've been okay, 2 for 3 thus far. This is 3rd and 10. Now he'll turn and throw deep back to the other side of the field. But it's caught at the 10. They're able to convert on 3rd down, and that sets up a 1st and goal.
We see this happen so often. If you're a defender, it's like watching a bad movie over and over. The pressure's good, forcing the quarterback out of the pocket. But it's a lot to ask for these defenders to stay plastered to receivers long enough. And sure enough, they let a man come open, and the connection leads to a big play.
Throwing is Favre. He's going to go down just outside of the 5, right around the 6-yard line. Not the 1st and goal play they drew up. Multiple defenders in to bring him down to the ground. Here's Favre to throw. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Jerry Rice. His 2nd touchdown of the afternoon as his guys have opened up a very comfortable lead.
Well, partner, he has carried them in this ball game throwing the football. All 4 touchdowns through the air, and that's really helped them get this nice lead.
And I know it's a team game, but right now, he is truly the focal point. Every touchdown his team has so far has been the result of his arm. How about him throwing it downfield, creating big plays? I don't know how you slow him down unless you can make him uncomfortable in the pocket.
Now, meanwhile, a pass that should have been intercepted, but it winds up falling incomplete.
I know we could sit up here and dance around it a little bit, but going for 2 in this situation, somebody doesn't like someone else. There is no doubt in my mind.
Well, what they couldn't see is you lean back in your chair and you went, it's not a good decision. They didn't get it, though.
Yeah, I don't think you can just say, well, my kicker's hurt in this spot. No, okay.
Brady now on 1st down. Trying for Brown, and it's intercepted. The Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott picks it.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups.
He gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on to call 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the...
He's got a man, complete! And they'll get this well past midfield before being stopped just before the 35. So it's the NFC with the football as we welcome you back. So how about that for a chain mover? They're all the way down inside the 40 now for 1st and 10. And this is caught inside the 5. And they are going to score again. Yet another touchdown as they just add to their totals. Well, when coaches come into a game preaching total team effort, CD, I think this is the type of ball game that they're dreaming of. It was pretty apparent early on that they were clicking in all 3 phases. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, sometimes in the NFL you end up with matchups like we've been watching here. And when you go back to the early drives, you can just see that one squad was on a different level in this game. Safe to say, we haven't been disappointed in watching their execution throughout this contest.
Throwing there, but this pass is going to wind up incomplete. Should have been picked. Probably doesn't matter on a 2-point conversion, but still, as a former DB, you want to grab that ball when you can, don't you?
You certainly do. And don't say it, because I know you're thinking it. Don't say it.
What am I thinking?
You know what I know what you're thinking. Well, if he'd had hands, he'd be playing on offense. Right?
That's true. You've said that before. Well, 4th quarter, they felt like they needed the football back. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it.
And I know we brought analytics into the game, and someone has said here that the data says that when a team's expecting an onside kick, 80% of the time, the team expecting it, they do actually recover the ball, which is what we saw here. I just wonder if that number is much more of a anecdotal type of a number. Kind of like when the coaches tell us, well, when you score on special teams, 93% of the time you win the game. I'm still waiting to see that number is empirical.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like...
And that is caught. Well, they're going to see this one to the end. They get a score, but pretty much an exercise in futility right now. Still down big. Now Adam Vinatieri for the point after. And the lead is down to 24. So that drive, 4 plays. And it ends with an AFC touchdown. So will no doubt be a miracle comeback from here, but let's see what they can do starting with the onside kick. And it is gobbled up by the NFC. Now they're down big here in the 4th. They had to try the onside kick. Can't fault them for the effort at least.
No, you can't at all. And if nothing else, now you've put something that you're trying to practice, right, that you've worked on into a game situation, and now you can go back and dissect it. So if you need it again sometime, maybe you'll find a better way to do it. But, yeah, this game's pretty much done for them.
That one looks like he'll throw here. He lets this one fly toward the back of the end zone. Well, this has certainly been special. And, Charles, as we wind down toward the end of this John Madden legacy game, your final thoughts?
Well, let's face it, partner, it's going to be hard to overestimate the impact that he made, not just on the sport of football, but on his family, friends, players, co-workers, and in the lives of millions of Americans who watched him. There will never be another John Madden.
They'll try and throw for it with Favre. He's going to let this go. Back of the end zone. And a penalty flag comes in as that one winds up incomplete. But the contact is going to move the ball well downfield. So the game will continue for at least one more play.
Cannot finish a game on a defensive penalty. That's why they get one more untimed attempt.
Looking end zone, but it's incomplete. So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.